Agada.
Mbijan aganya.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. Korsan. Sillah ID soto.
Sa soto. Sorry. Agada.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka.
Bare
mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbali ya bere. Birin koyna fo katon.
Bari si kodo kino katon nim fo bolong blabe ko.
56 branches mola soto Gambia jang.
Ha?
Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nko kono kiya bere. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta même na kodi to poto nim kodi maraw. Jannam number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi mani domorol ni fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je.
Wo moyo diat.
Apelenta
baraka. Ni ma lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bukani la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Abaraka.
Owning your dream homes, EJ Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3 or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Sanyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tar roads, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464-838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on EJ Investments. EJ Investments, we are first in properties.
All right.
Honey, did you remind him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him.
Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions?
Yes.
But don't you know about Baluo?
Baluo? What is Baluo?
Baluo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate.
Tell me how Baluo works.
It's very simple.
Just log on to baluo.com and shop, or download the app on your phone. You can shop on the website or using the app to buy online basic products for your family and friends. With Baluo, you decide what your money is spent on. Your money, your choice. Buy online products for your family and friends in the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria or Mali. Baluo, better than sending money.
Welcome to the Brunch, live on Kerr Fatou. I'm Lamin Cham, welcoming you to our weekly current affairs program. Now, last week we were here discussing the current voter registrations with stakeholders, members of the political parties. We'll continue on a bit of that this week, but Our main focus and starting point, of course, is everybody's business, that is security matters, which also have been very much part of this program over the last couple of weeks, given the rise in crime, some of them violent crimes that have been the anxiety of Gambian people from all walks of life, including, of course, politicians. So that's why I have in the studio with me Essa Bokarsi. He is deputy head at the Gambian Secretariat of the OIC, where he also heads the security subcommittee, and he's also coordinator of security at the Sadauda Kerr Jawara Conference Center. He is a well-seasoned security expert, himself being a former senior Gambian security official and diplomat. Very active in the struggle against dictatorship, leading up to the 2016 change. Since then, he's not been that silent, but we want to really today wake him up from whatever distraction or from whatever rest he must have been having from that struggling days, because we have in our hand really a big problem today, that is matters dealing with security. Now, listening to him will not be only me. There will be Mamadou Lamin Gassama, Barrow rather, Lamin Barrow. He is the communications director for the Gambia for all the political party. Mr. Barrow, welcome.
Thank you.
And Neneh Freda Gomez, also communications and PRO director on communications for Citizens Alliance. Like I said, security is everybody's business, even though they will be here later on the program to talk about the registration exercise. We will all have questions for Essa Bokarsi. First though, Essa, as I always do, it's been a long time since you've been here. So when you were here, maybe some people missed that program and they didn't know who is Essa Bokarsi. So very briefly, welcome and tell us a little bit about Essa, especially now.
Thank you very much.
You off the mic. Good. All right.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Cham, my dear brother.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Barrow. And thank you, Neneh, who shares the same name with someone I know.
Okay.
Okay. So the thing is, it's always difficult to say who you are. You know, particularly if you are riding on the vehicle of humility, which I know most Gambians are very humble. So I would say that Essa Bokarsi is the product of combined efforts. I was born in Kuntaya village, and my father is the late Ustaz Bokarsi, commonly known as Samba. And my mother is the late Aja Hadijata Bah. So that's me originally, and then why I said I'm a product of combined efforts, I've answered that question on Capital FM in 2017 when I came back, and I answered the question here. You know, Lamin, you never leave me alone. So the thing why I say that is that I could not have been who I am without the combined efforts of the Gambia itself. Deriving the facts from when I was sponsored by the area council in the North Bank division to continue my studies in Armitage School.
Very interesting. Area council could do that then?
Yeah, because there's an outstanding performance, they would sponsor you. So I just did not want my friend, my father is my friend, I don't want him to continue paying school fees, so I had to put
So you were, it wasn't very much a question of your father not being able to afford, but because the area council knew your talents and then wanted to...
He was able to, but he was able to afford it in a hard way. A very hard way for that matter. So I would not definitely say that he was rich. No, he was not. But he was determined. And I know that it would have been to break everything in his bones, but he would make sure that we go to school. So that was it. So the people who paid the tax in area council include all tribes.
Absolutely.
So, and then primary school, I was registered by Sambanyang, a Wolof. And along the way, Musa Nua Koli, a Jola. And then Demba Dem came, a Fulani. And then Sajo Sonko is the one who taught me directly in primary school until Sajo Sonko was one time a governor, and then he taught me in primary school, and Bokar taught me. Famara Tabali, in fact, my teacher is part of the local organizing committees at the OIC now. He taught me in primary school. So you can see the mixture. When I went to Amite School, my mentor, I would say, is Ababakar Mbai Sanyang. He's a Jola. Abu King, my friend teacher, is an Aku. So there's a reason why I give this answer everywhere.
You are a product of a combination of many efforts.
Exactly.
So was similar story to many people at the time.
Exactly. So if you cross the borders, you go to Senegal. I was trained in their military schools.
Yes.
One of their best in the gendarmerie school. And then after leaving, I went back and studied in France, and so if you look at all that, before I even became, an employee of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, how many people participated? Because Senegal also, I went to their university, and I think the university is maintained by taxpayers. France, the same thing. So this is why I said the best answer I would give anytime I ask who is Essa Bokarsi, I will say, he's a product of combined efforts.
Good. Your education journey really quite interesting. How about your professional one? I think that's equally also thrilling. You were in the Zandam after the upheavals, which was established, I think, after the upheavals of 1981.
Yes.
And then, of course, we had all these problems with Senegal, and then the 1994 coup d'etat, etc.
True.
So that too must be exciting. Tell us a bit about that.
Interesting, because first, many people don't know, but I joined the original Zandam in 82 or 83, but I left quickly.
Oh, when? Not long after you enlisted, you left?
Yeah, because I wanted to go and pursue my education. I just came in, and that was during the time of Abdul Shilon and others. Some of my batch mates would know that. People like Famara Jabate at the airport, people like Amadou Suare, captain, people like, Ibrahim Achonga, actually, and then I came back when I was ready now, because I liked the services. I went to pursue my education, and then there was a pilot program with Action 8. But I still had inside me, but people wouldn't know the reason why I did not go back. My father, Ustaz Bokarsi, was so much not in for me being in the military somehow, and he did not want to. He's not the type that would force you into, when it comes, I took that from him. When it comes to job, the degree you want to pursue, the wife you want to marry, my father doesn't force you. He just advises you.
Okay.
So I was like kind of caught, but I liked the military then. So 85, after joining Action 8, we did a pilot program, and I was those that they chose to be out of 500, I think, they only chose 12 to do this pilot program of their primary 6 at that time.
Yeah.
So, but still I wasn't listening to the radio. I heard that they are still taking people for the army. I said, I have to go back again.
So that Action 8 time was a bit of education, teaching or something?
Yeah, it was teaching.
Because their first project was education.
Yeah, it was teaching combined with community development, because we had these garden, village
gardens. That's the time you have the Malamin Sonkos, the Alkali James, and Alkali.
Ansumana Diba.
How did they say?
I was directly under Ansumana Diba.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, Alkali James.
Alkali James.
Yes, it's true. Okay. So after that, I joined the service again. Military. I came back now, 1985. I've convinced Ustaz Bokarsi that, okay, he said, fine, I'll pray for you, go, because you really like this thing.
Military.
Then I went in there, 85 to 1990. I finished my 5 years, and then I left.
The whole country?
No. I left the military, and I went to study. They had a pilot program. I know along the way you said that I have material for pilot program.
Pilot program, because you've
so
been...
They had a pilot program, the French government sponsored program, PADEF. 35 of us were chosen during the time of Ngai Mane, Jeno Mane. And then there is where I always talk about my dear brother Baba Kante. I told him that I want to go and study. He himself wanted me to study because he knew that I was good at French at high school. So this is the way I entered the program, and then they chose the 10 best out of the 35, and then we went to France. People like Essa today, she's the upper side of the staff at the university, I think, or Gambia College.
Okay.
Cherno Omar Bari.
Oh yes.
My dear uncle, the head of Sheikh Maska High School, Sheikh Ba.
Yeah.
You know, and some of them are around. Okay. So we went to study in France together. Tala Fai, she's now a principal. So for me, when we left, because my track record and theirs is a little bit different. I still remember when they put their feet on the desk, I would just look at them, and Cherno is very funny. He tell me, look, this is not the Fajara barracks. We are free to do whatever
you like. Yeah.
So that's me. And then after I joined the Foreign Affairs,
okay,
because I came back in '93.
Okay.
From France to study, and that was it. I was posted. Interestingly, I was posted to Tahir Ahmadiyya High School. And then I heard on the news that they are recruiting people. I applied, and I was lucky. They called me for an interview. The chairman then was the late MB Wadda, the chairman of the PSC.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the way I joined the Foreign Affairs, did some diplomatic training in Sierra Leone with the current Deputy Secretary General Sali Toure.
Oh, okay.
You know, and that's it. And then I went abroad as a first secretary, counselor.
Then on one fateful day, in July '94, there was a coup d'etat.
Yeah.
And what was your initial reaction as somebody who probably knew the coup leader and knew the situation during the time?
Yes, the coup d'etat is this could even be a movie, because Maudo Toure was my boss, very nice guy. In fact, I mentioned him in many ways of being part of those who built me. So we were at the airport, Chisekedi or something like that, the former Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs, forgot the name. He was supposed to land to go and meet the president, but his plane came and took off.
Which president here in the Gambia?
Yeah, Sadauda, that very day of the coup. And then I remember Maudo and I, you know, the way he speaks in his Fana Wolof, he said, as a guy, then you practice there. And I told him, no, boss, this is not practice.
So you were in the country on the day of the coup?
I was standing at the airport. The movements were happening. And I participated, and I will not tell you how.
How? That's interesting. Where are you?
If you mention, you need to tell us how.
Exactly. Were you part of the coup plotters?
No.
Because you knew them in the Zandam days, or you were part of the people who secretly resisted?
I was not part of. But when I say I participated,
diplomatically, because you were a diplomat.
Will you believe me if I tell you how I participated? I ran away.
Then you did not participate.
No, but I didn't run. I actually did not run. It was like I advised Maudo, and then there was a car I was offered. I knew some of the boys out there, and then they gave me a car. I said, let him take the car. So I knew how I could move back home. And then I was almost, because they know me, it's just a question of being lucky, because about 3 times I was walking on foot, and one of them recognized me and said, sir, you know, you should be here commanding us. I said, yeah, but later when I reach home, we'll discuss. When I reach home, everybody was saying, Yaya Jammeh, the footballer of the army.
Yeah, there was a football.
I told people at my house that is not Yaya Jammeh, the footballer of the army. And all of a sudden at 6 p.m. they all knew that it was not that Yaya Jammeh. This Yaya Jammeh, I stayed with him in the same room. Our beds were like this. We were very close.
Even the footballer or the
No. The Yaya Jammeh, the former president.
You mentioned that a lot in your subsequent.
Absolutely. I wouldn't say that. I mean, things cannot be so sour in history today that I say, I've never known Yaya. No. That's not true. We were friends, close.
You were even roommate.
Yes, definitely.
And in Bokar.
Yes, I know him. He knows me very well.
So how come then? Did you continue your diplomatic position after he took over?
Yes.
Until you fell out with what were the circumstances?
I like the word you use, continued, because I want people to always understand that is not the one who hired me into diplomatics, and you know.
Of course, yes.
So I was going to go to Dakar under the late Abdullah Mbop. He in fact requested me to go because, you know, the man liked somebody who did soldiering.
Okay.
Then the changes happened. As soon as the changes happened, the process was on, because I was either going to Dakar or going to France. Then after the changes happened, the early days, Ndaunyai came. Yeah, he wasn't fired automatically.
Yeah.
So went to the airport, received him, and then we spoke in the car. He said, I would like to have someone like you. All of a sudden, he went back. That was over for him. Etta Balde continued with the process. So this is the way. But definitely everything, the pressure exerted on it was by Minister Babakar Bless Jan, with whom I was working, and he knew for him there were potentials in me that he believed that I could perform.
He was the junta's first foreign minister, was it?
I think it was Bolong Sonko.
Bolong? Oh, Bolong.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Bolong Sonko.
Okay, but then Bless encouraged you to continue.
Yeah. I mean, he found the process and he expedited it, I mean, in a way. But I met Yaya too.
Okay.
He called for me.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, he called for me one evening, and then, first meeting between him and I was in the office.
Okay. Right.
Which is natural. I mean, he would. And then we tease each other, not anything serious. He was telling me, and he was saying that foreign affairs, I'm not a serious problem because they obey Dara and stuff like that. We were just joking there, but he was telling me things that convinced me in a way that he meant business. Yes.
So you continued diplomatic career in Paris?
Yeah, I went to Paris. It's my first outside posting, 95. Then I was there until 97. I was promoted to counselor. And then 98, I was transferred to the United Nations because Gambia was a non-permanent member of the Security Council. At the time, we had Bless Jain there, Maudo Toure there, the lead counsel of the TRRC, Essa was there. Yeah.
So how did you come to fall out? When did you smell the rat that after all this was going to be a repressive regime and you didn't want to be part of it?
It was, maybe if I say it now, people will think that I'm trying to build my own image, but that is, the people who know me knew it was not always an easy ride, because there was an unknown clash, not between me and Yaya though, certain individuals in 96.
Yeah.
In fact, that's why one of the staff at the Foreign Affairs was teasing me. He calls me MCO. I said, just send me an air ticket and an MCO, I will come back. I'm not going to stay. And then I came, he met me, we spoke. Because, the issue is more about the people on the ground in France, how they want to be perceiving individuals for political reasons here and there. I wasn't in for that. Okay, there was the creation of the July 22nd movement in France, but those people in France today and Gambians in Washington would tell you that I was very impartial when it came to interaction. So it continued. 1997, I was promoted, and then I stayed in France. After that, that's the way it came about for me to go to the UN.
You quit the Gambian post mission?
No. It was not a quitting. I was transferred. We have the Gambia's permanent.
Well, at what
mission.
point did you leave totally?
Okay, I'm coming to that. So now, when I was promoted, I came back to France.
Yeah.
And then was with France, Russia, and all that.
Yeah.
And then was sent to Taiwan, because he would see me as jovially the one he would send to places to fix them, not for political reasons, but for administration. Because Taiwan, we had this money that was incoming, the electricity, $35 million.
Yes.
And then Washington, I was there because Gambia was not on AGOA. But all these things, I would say, Alhamdulillah ya Kabir. It's not like I am the best diplomat. It's just like...
You managed to get that money that was supposed to be paid to the Gambian people, and instead ended up in private banks in Switzerland, opened by the junta.
We went through that officially and legally, and then...
Did we ever get that money?
Why not? Because the Public Accounts Committee at the House of Parliament should be able to give answers to that. These are things on record. The Ministry of Finance has it. I mean, that's what he used to buy. You remember those generators that they came, and then Yaya had the bidon of palm wine.
And he was escorting them.
Yeah.
That way from that 35 million.
Absolutely. That's what it should be. The paper trail should be there. I mean, for me, I do hear different stories of people talking about this 35 million. I
because
think
they
are confusing that process with other allegations on people. I think they need to I mean, there were commissions established. I think that is not the duty of someone like me, but it's the duty of people to excavate these things. But if most of the time, though, if things go through right, I don't think the commissions go after that also. Because it's
but there's a lot of questions about this 35 million. That is supposed to have been dumped in accounts that are not Gambia government accounts, but accounts opened there by the junta. And Ibu Jallo was alleged to have been the one with the power of attorney of that. This different from the 3 million.
People are confusing these things. I mean, the brother, I mean, it's not to protect Ibu, but what I'm talking about, Ibu has nothing to do with that.
So it wasn't true.
No, I'm not saying
that's different from the 3 million.
Yeah, I'm not saying I cannot defend him because I know he is intelligent enough. But as far as what I'm talking, that definitely anybody who associates his name with it,
with that 35 million also the Swiss account.
I wouldn't say, I don't want to say it was in a Swiss account.
Wow.
You know, because as an ambassador, where we stop is to negotiate and convince the government to approve things. Now, we had Farmer Rejata, who is known more. We had Musa Sillah, who was there, Samambo. The current foreign minister also was, you know, part of the negotiation. Sorry, not the current, the former, I'm sorry, Dr. Mamadou Lamin Sidat Diop. These are all people who came. So it is not like this is something secretive put into a bank account somewhere, as far as I know. No. So now the question should be answered by those who were performing it after some of us convinced these people diplomatically that now you should accept, because the Taiwanese president had to give the green light.
Actually, what we heard was, and this was internationally published, was that after Ibu Jallo left unceremoniously in November 95, I think October, the Gambia government had to open a case to block him from accessing those funds because he was supposed to be the power of attorney. Well, of course, Ibu Jallo denied all that.
No, that is not what I'm talking about. You're talking about 95. I'm talking about 2002.
Oh, I understand. Okay, different.
I became ambassador in 2001.
Oh, it's different.
You know, there were things we signed when the diplomatic relations were established. They were sending soft loans to buy the blood gas at the hospital. They were doing this and that. So the lump sum was what was not given out.
I see.
So the lump sum was what we were on blocking for. So now the thing is, the justification, it was for electricity, and definitely there were generators bought. But now, for me, who bought the generators, how they bought the generators definitely is a Bokarsi cannot answer. But it's good that you even separate these two.
Yes, that's right.
But I don't want people to think that 35 million has anything to do with Ibu. Because, you know, Allah loves the truth.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
No, so let's come to the point when you become now very much active in opposition to the regime. I mean, one of those who in the diaspora were the first voices to be heard and consistently raised against the Jammeh regime right up to the end. You know, I remember during the impasse, you were well followed online for your unique and always exciting, comments. Yes. How did that come? How do you come to think that, look, what is happening back home, I can no longer be part of it?
You know, Lamin, the thing is, I gave this story online. When I was going to Washington, Yaya and I, definitely, it was in animosity, it was not adverse, it was, his expectations were high because, you know, like I said, Allah loves the truth. When we met, what he told me was, we need this AGOA. We need our people to access, you know, and some people are saying that now the elections are here. They are, you know, they are over and everybody has seen things. Me, when I go to serve, I don't think about Yaya. I think about Gambia. So when I arrived in Washington from this place, Taiwan, the first thing I thought of was, in fact, it landed me in, I wouldn't call it trouble because some people like using that term, but I don't call it trouble. It landed me into being seen as a different, you know, part of the whole system, you know, because I reach out to every Gambian organization in there. Some I was later told were not in the good books. For me, I'm not worried about that. Because for me, every Gambian should be in the good book, and the good book is called citizenship. You know, so I reached out, And then stories started flying around. Essa is meeting the dissidents. I don't know what dissident means. Some people even use that as titles for me, dissident. I'm not a dissident. I'm a citizen.
Right.
And then the thing is, I said to myself, the best way, I reached out to even Bineminte. Bineminte.
Yeah.
It was in the November 11 coup.
Yes.
And then later on, Bine came out to be some good material in many ways, because some people were just shunning them. They were a taboo to even mention during conversations.
I see.
And I said, no, that is not right. So we went ahead on that. Gambia, it paid off, because Gambia later on was added on AGOA, because the US, the way they operate, they look at what is happening around them.
Okay.
And they are convinced, because the moment they see the interaction with the ambassador, they think it's the state. The moment they see you are building bridges between you and the Gambians, they feel that, okay, this is some kind of,
this is the Gambia.
And then we had also this honorary consul who was hired. I think you heard about that story where Buba Balde, the late, may Allah receive him in Jannah, was mentioned that, Mansong and others, this guy was telling us that he's going to bring tractors. Of course, Buba was accused wrongly. He didn't do anything, and then I am the one who was not entertaining it, because the man even one time kind of threatened me. It makes me laugh though, because if you use threats, sometimes I think it will just lead us to part. He said he will bring $5 million, he'll bring tractors. I said, if you want that, bring the money first, bring the tractors first. But I didn't know that he had representatives in Banjul. So he was telling me that he needs the passport. I said, no, we can't give you the passport. So these push and pull, I was called at the U.S. State Department by Ambassador, by that time the Chief of Protocol was Dunham. He said, Mr. Ambassador, we heard what you're doing, which is good. I mean, this guy is involved in playing, casinos and all this stuff. If we are telling you, if you guys bring his application, we will not give him the exequatur. An exequatur, when you are an ambassador, you're giving an agrema. When you're an honorary consul, you're giving an exequatur to function. So I went back and advised the president. I don't think that was appreciated, because the wrong perceptions they were giving him is like, it's a money man who can come and just build El Dorado in the Gambia. Some of them are like that. And that is not... I was there, and then I stopped lobbying. I mean, people are there who can testify to that, who were working with me. The lobbyists there at that time, I just said, you know what, we cannot afford to be paying $500,000 for lobbyists, when actually I can do what the lobbyists cannot do, because I'm the one representing the state. And then that one, he liked. I liked it. And then he said, okay, that's the end of it. We will just not continue. So, but along the way, sometimes he say yes, sometimes interest parties. You see, I used to tell him this on the videos. I wish I could look at him right now. I told him, my good friend, what I told you. I told him that I don't hate you. You're being misled. If you don't listen to my harsh criticism, you will listen to the harsh criticism of destiny. And that's what's happening to him today. Because the thing is, he wasn't listening to some of us. And later on, Corporate Council for Africa was about to happen. Some interest parties were jumping around. The ambassador is making things difficult. And he knows my way too. So one time I wrote him a letter in May. I said, administration and gossiping are incompatible. You are either a revolutionary or a renegade. And that's it. I was ready.
You quit?
No, I wrote a letter which was in Pleasant, May 22nd. 2003. And then June 9, 2003, I received a letter that I should not be found on 3 days before he arrived. So obviously, Lamin, that would show you that this is a serious problem. In fact, I wanted to come back. I wanted to come back.
Yes.
Some of those who were saying that, yes, I stayed behind. No.
Yeah.
People on the ground told me that, look, you don't have to. You don't have to prove things and all that stuff. So this is the way we started. We started with OPTV, Operation Pulling the Veil, and then we were using know the girls, and Bine Minte, definitely I cannot sit here. I've not been saying it in many platforms, but Bine is a sincere brother. Bine, if I write, Bine post and put Bine Minte, NYU student. So we used that for a while to demystify. And then after that, the formation of allgambian.com. After that, Freedom newspaper. All those things we are spreading. After that, Hello Gambia started, also added its weight to the other heavyweights. Then that's the time we started, and I wrote a letter, because you need to hear this.
Yeah.
My wife faxed the letter. I wrote a letter. At the time, the late Daba Marina, if he was alive, he would bring that letter and show it to the Gambians. I wrote a letter. I told her that I'm set, I'm ready, whether he read the letter or not, I don't care. I told him that I'm going to fight you, and I am ready to fight until I die, but Gambia has to be free.
That was the beginning.
Yeah.
That probably Mr. Barrow and others must have heard of you. You, very briefly, before we go to the present day, before we get, to the, what do you make of, you must have heard, of course, his involvement in both in the diplomatic and the struggle against Jammeh.
Certainly, it's been a very interesting history. I guess the long term of Jammeh of 22 years has been everybody's business.
Yeah.
And Essa Bokarsi hasn't been missing. He's narrated his history, and so many other parties or people would have a fairly, glaring kind of participation in the struggle that eventually boosted the dictatorship. But all he said is commendable.
Thank you.
And among many others, we are all grateful for all the Gambians that participated in bringing us to the position that we are now. But either knowingly or unknowingly, I think everybody in Gambia did really have a great say in ensuring that the dictatorship was ended.
True.
And rightly so at the right time.
Neneh?
Interesting. Can I ask how old are you? Because this all this thing that you explained, it's like you should be 80 years or 85. I'm looking at you.
I started being in the diplomatic field very early. So I think I would say to you that by 2023 I will be 60.
Oh my God.
Then you minus 23 from
I
now.
know, right?
You know his age now.
Exactly.
All right, Essa.
I began very. You are right, Neneh. Some people even call Hello Gambia and Baba Haidara like your man. Lamin has been. He's not saying his own story. He has been an underground revolutionary. So Baba was telling me that somebody called him from England. He said, "Hana is our mom, 70 years now." And Baba said, because he's a lady, he's funny. He said, "What na ko 90 gam."
Seriously,
all right.
People will ask that, but to be honest, listening to your story, not the first time that I'm hearing it, but again, this is the first time up close, personal, hear you explain it, narrate it the way it is, when it happened, how it happened. It's really humbling, and honestly, like I'll join him to say, I always say, if Gambia recognizes the amount of potential and talent we have, harness it and plow it back into the country, honestly, we will go far.
Correct.
And of course, hearing you, everything you've talked about, your contribution, walking and also standing up towards this authoritarian rule, it's a manifestation of that. So definitely, I say kudos to you and keep it up.
Thank you, Neneh.
Keep it up.
One thing
and
I want to
of course, I would say, the Nenehs, we have sharp eyes. So the Neneh close to you did not make the wrong choice.
Thank you. One thing I want to say, Lamin, is that I want to make it clear to every Gambian that I don't hate Yaya Jammeh. I've never hated Yaya Jammeh, and I will never hate Yaya Jammeh. The thing is,
now.
No. It's, you see, taking a position based on principle is not hatred. You see, the reason why I am saying this is that people, when I came back to the Gambia, some people met me, and then they said, "Essa, you are a hero," and I laughed, and I said, "Okay." And then I said, "You'd hate Yaya Jammeh." And I said, no. I don't hate Yaya Jammeh. And I'm not a hero. Lamin, what I want people to understand, I like the way Mr. Barrow and Neneh put it, and yourself. You see, when we took the decision to struggle against tyranny. Let us, you did a lot, Lamin.
Yeah.
Let us separate our roles from being celebrities.
Exactly.
You see, because the only hero, ask me who he is.
Who is?
It is Ajrail, the angel of death.
Okay.
He killed Alexander the Great,
Yeah.
he killed Caesar, he killed Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, and all the great men, the warriors, when he is still around.
He will have his day too.
Yes.
when he's kick all of us out.
Exactly, but he's philosophically and based on faith. I'm just saying this to germinate it in us that let us not be expecting applauses, like ownership of recognition wherever you pass. I have tried my best, and that's why you were saying that you've been silent. I'm not silent.
Yeah.
I'm as active as before, but in a different way, because I don't want the air of.
Okay, let's address the elephant in the room.
But before you say,
one of the
can
reasons.
I just clear something, because I missed it? Because during your discussions, you mentioned Yaya Jammeh, the footballer, Yaya Jammeh.
Yeah, there was a Yaya Jammeh.
Were there two Yaya Jammehs?
Yes.
Okay.
This guy was well known in the army.
In the army, exactly.
Yes.
Okay. So there was Yaya Jammeh, the footballer,
and
Yaya James Junkum Jammeh.
He was actually at the time much more well known than Jammeh, the eventual coup leader.
Okay.
In fact, I remember '93. He was with the national team in Sierra Leone for the Zone 2. After we left and the coup happened, many people in Sierra Leone reported that he was the player who played in that Zone 2.
Okay, it's good to clarify.
Yeah, there was a Jammeh.
And of course, the one you were close to is the James Junkun Jammeh.
Of course,
exactly.
Okay,
they were in the gendarmerie together.
That was my body.
Okay, Essa. Some of the things that actually happened on the Jammeh, the tyranny you've just described, many people said, well, were really due to so many lapses in security, so many things. And then when the change happened, the watchword was security reform. So experts such as you could be relied on to see what's supposed to be done. But then let me tell you, I don't mind telling you, people are disappointed that security reform is not happening, or the right people are not implementing it. What would be your view on that?
Yeah, first of all, I just wanted to say that for the OIC Security Subcommittee, I'm an observer. It is chaired by another person.
Okay.
And then when you come back, I just want to begin this with the story of the pigeon, which comes from some people who work for MI5 or whatever you would call them. So the story of the pigeon is that one time the pigeon had its eggs hatch, and then there were little ones there, and then it was walking around and it was trapped. A trap, and the pigeon stayed there praying and saying that God help me, because my kids, I know you will take care of the kids, but like the chicken, the little birds, but I'm really trapped here. And a thought came to the pigeon, and the thought is, yes, you have prayed to God, to Allah, but try to flap your wings and see. And as soon as it flapped its wings, the trap went off. That story is for Gambians. You see, security, security begins with the person, him or herself. Unfortunately, most Gambians are the threats to themselves. You see, because one has always to be conscious of your operational environment. Life is a war, events are battles. So we have to see life that way. But if you don't see life as a war, then you will not be ready to fight any battle. And any event is a battle. Right now we are in a battle, isn't it? When you were receiving me from the car to enter, you are in a battle, because you are not sure if somebody who doesn't like you was to pass by and harm you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm just becoming philosophical. But when it comes to the current situation, that is why when I came back to the Gambia.
Now, I actually wanted to address specifically, what do you think of the security reform, or the lack of it, that was supposed to happen between 2016 and now?
Yeah, what I'm trying to say, Lamin, is that wherever you hear transitional justice and security reform, know that that particular society or country is coming out of the abnormal.
Exactly.
Because if not, then there is no need to reform anything.
Exactly.
So on literature, I believe the literature is beautiful. You see, like I said,
but the implementation.
I'm coming to that. Like I said in one of my write-ups, I said, Gambia, we are caught between two M's. I think we need to add I, which is meeting minutes. Meeting minutes. We like meeting minutes. But we should have meeting minutes implementation.
MII now.
Yes, MMI.
MMI now.
Meeting limits implementation, isn't it?
Yeah. So you basically saying that what has been happening in the security reform has basically been meetings, but very little implementation.
I would not say specific on them. My analytical perspective here is across the board now, from the time of Dauda to Yaya Jammeh to now. I don't want to specify it to now. But if you inherit that, and you are charged with the responsibility of reforming security, you should first of all understand basic, what is the meaning of the word reform itself?
Okay.
What are you reforming? Because if you are asked to reform, we still see the same traffic police officer. We still see some of them on the phone and texting and talking, and then you see some like this, you know, traffic. I see that. What does that mean? It means there is no training. Senegal, our neighbor here, recently we had the president of Senegal give a speech. The speech is they want to recruit more police and then introduce rigorous training. Believe me, Lamin, I'm not saying that's what we should do. Today, the media in Senegal, I'm sure you saw it, they were making a lot of noise. In fact, the first batch of training, some of them, one or two died because of the rigorous training. Some of us went through things, I'm pretty sure, if you were to put it on the heads of certain individuals here, they may not survive it. But that goes with security, because if you are not a solid stone, how can you maintain a solid foundation? You don't use sand for a foundation, do you? Only sand. It will not hold it. You have to be solid yourself.
Okay.
So the reform should not only be on paper. The reform should not only be going around to different places, giving a questionnaire to people to fill out, and then you bring and enter data on a computer. No. The reform should be, if you are to scale down, because I would rather have an army scaled down, a police scaled down, but one person's training will be equivalent to the efficiency of 50 police officers who are not trained. It's not a question of quantity, it's a question of quality.
That's what I meant to say.
Good. So now, according to you, what actually is really could mean effective, reform could be not just in words, but practically you need to have a well-trained, indoctrinated police or military force. The question now is, what happened in the past 22 years is soldiers killing their own citizens on the order of the president. Certain unit, a whole unit whose job is basically to kill for the president. There were a lot of, President Barrow himself once said that the army was politicized. So all those things are things that should have been done. People like you who have a lot of knowledge in security, I want you to tell us in a very short and explicit terms what should have been done, what is not done, and what should be done.
Well, I think
you mentioned scaling down, which was some people's opinion too, that we need an army that is well trained and answerable, or let's say responsive to our democratic nature, and not just a big army of soldiers for whom we have no job.
Yeah, like you said precisely before time is up, I would say, there are, let's say, what would I call them again? These manuals to be used. You see, security, everything begins from the training school. We should reorganize the training itself.
Okay.
The training should be reorganized. And I agree with President Barrow when he says that the army was politicized, because my videos are there.
He once said that, your videos.
I have been saying it. And then security should not be politicized. Because you swear that you are going to serve without fear, favor, ill will, and your answer, you are loyal to the emblem and the flag and the national anthem. That's what you should be. Period.
No political
no ambiguities in it. Because you see, where there is a choice to be made and we only have two colors, black and white, gray has no place there. Absolutely. You either be black, or you choose black, or you choose white. That's it. So you see, my thing is that sometimes, many a times, Lamin, over the years, we Gambians, me, you, others, have always been pouncing on politicians. But me, I want to take a different route in this. I'm not sparing them, but we have to also be reaching out to those technocrats, to those people who are hired to occupy sensitive security positions. You see, security positions are not for lobbying. Security positions are for screening, and then you have to screen based on they check your background and see whether you can perform the job or not. And when you also are trusted, make sure that you don't abuse the trust. Because you cannot, somebody may be efficient, but not trustworthy. We want a trustworthy, efficient security head, security unit head, and the security personnel, because ceremonies precede a lot of things. When I observe in the Gambia, when you drive around, for people, security means Lamin comes, you open the door for him, you hold his bag for him. That's not security. We can secure the country. You see, there is the visible and the invisible. We can secure Gambia without Neneh going out or Barrow going out and seeing anybody. Let's say if I were to design you a security package around you, the day that your security elements will react, everybody will be shocked because nobody would know on the whole. Maybe it is him, the cameraman himself. Maybe he's a kung fu master. He has his pistol. You don't know. The moment you want to touch Lamin, he'll fly above you, tie you, and this is what security is all about. When people are going out, put on coats, put on your machine gun around, and then make sure. But you have to do that with discipline. But most of our people, even during Jammeh's time, I remember somebody stole someone's pen. This is a true story. And then, someone's mobile. When the owner of the mobile called, he told him that NIA 6. And the owner of the told him that, you know Essa Bokarsi, and I was laughing because those days I was around from France, and he told him, oh, let me give it to you in. This is a true story. A country with people who will announce, I am NIA 6. That's I am whatever 7. I mean, you know, it's you see, we have to balance between the visible structure and the invisible structure. The invisible structure themselves should do 75% of the job, complemented by the visible structure that you see.
So that brings the question to Michael. Why are people like you, although you are doing a very good job, of course, doing your connection and the OIC, weren't available or offered or attracted to head security reforms?
I think sometimes what I tell people here, most of the time in Gambia, if you are seen as somebody who is good at the subject, the first thing that people will say, look at the minister. I was like, no. So in fact, the country where I'm from, I've been working with the U.S. Ministry of Defense as a contractor for years, special operative. But that doesn't mean that I was the Minister of Defense there. I mean, it's like people's expertise can be utilized in different ways.
Which is not being the case in your case. One would have argued that you would have been better in leading the security reforms that we have.
Not leading it, but maybe participating.
So it's strength that you are
indirectly. I am, because for me, I mean, one thing.
Or you mentioned concealment. Maybe you are doing
no. I'm not concealing.
Invincible.
No, I'm not concealing. Really, indirectly. What I mean here is this. For example, for me, this is my philosophy. I just say, if I see something that I really believe this is not right, or I should participate, I will talk to one or two people and say, use this. Because sometimes if you want to wait until, but obviously you are right, advising on the sides and being in charge of things are different. Because as they say, there is a difference between being in charge and being in control.
Wow. And many people will not see that difference.
Yeah, because if you control, you are just like guarding the cattle.
I see.
But if you are in charge, you are guarding them and taking them to a greener pasture where they can feed and get milk.
Good. So the point I'm trying to drive home now, we as a country besieged with security problems. We still have foreign troops. You people in your professional language, you said foreign boots on the ground. There are a lot of political issues surrounding them, whether they should stay or go. And many people said they are here because there was no political will. I don't want you to go into politics, but there was no will, or at least there is an absence of security reform. How do we go from here? In your expert view, what is the way forward?
Maybe that will be my last answer. Because
exactly. In your expert view, what is the way forward? Especially the presence of foreign boots, etc.
You know, Gambians also, what I want to tell them is that they keep talking about foreign boots.
Yeah.
How many of our police officers have built beautiful houses for their families and they're living and they are in Sudan?
But then there was an absolute need for them to be there.
I'm coming. How many of them are presently struggling hard to go to Central African Republic?
Yeah, even as we
How
speak.
many of them have been to East Timor?
Yes.
In fact, when we talk about there was the need, for how long did the ECOWAS mission last in Guinea-Bissau until they were thinking that there was no need? The issue is not about the foreign boots being on the ground or not, because we have to be ready for one thing. People, you see, Gambians will walk around and say, I'm scared of these persons, I'm this, that, the army did this, and then at the same time, they would be the same people who will say these foreign boots are here for it. You see, West Africa, I'm not protecting the need for them to be on the ground, but for me, my philosophy is West Africa should be like NATO. West Africa should be like
an army of many nations,
like US, Canada, and other places. West Africa should be like the Latin American countries. We should reach a stage where we will have what I will call Bureau of Eco-Inter, Bureau of Eco-Army, where anything that threatens us within and outside, that army will have a base in all the 15 countries. There will be battalions drawn from that huge army and be based in any of those countries. But if we want to continue seeing ourselves as separate states, separate countries, no other country, you see, there is a difference. People usually don't understand the meaning of these two. I mean, I'm sorry, state secret and interfering with the internal affairs of a country. They think they know, but they don't, because there is what we call international law. There is also what we call the rights of the citizen and all these stuff. So if you combine these, this is a complex subject that needs a symposium or a forum where political heads, party leaders, everybody should sit. But ECOWAS leaving and staying should not only be emotionally propelled, it should be strategically propelled.
Well, you know, because there are issues such as their continuous stay is going to demoralize our army, if not made them jealous. The army will feel marginalized by the government, which has been accused of relying on foreign troops more than their own on security forces. So those are still issues, like you said. I agree, of course, they are sensitive matters that should not be politicized.
Yeah.
But then they are, unfortunately.
No, there is. I think the discussion, the line of discussion you are taking is not political. I think the line of discussion you are taking is more about analytical. So I wouldn't say that you are politicizing it. The thing is, we
perhaps in politicians,
exactly,
opposed to the government,
but
making it a propaganda campaign.
You know, Ben, when I leave, Neneh and Mr. Barrow will
certainly
that's why we are here now. Here we are in a cup. We are water and oil. You know, oil will always float.
I know.
You from a distance, you think they are mixed. I know they wouldn't, but I am pretty sure that the angle I've taken, it can even change some of their perspectives also, because I think for them they are after solutions.
Exactly.
They are not after being in a circus of blame games.
No.
Where lions will blame elephants and elephants will turn around and blame pythons and pythons will blame scorpions. When will the circus end?
I see.
It has to end somehow.
Thank you, sir.
Essa, Bokarsi, thank you very much for what was really an interesting discussion. We hope to have you back. Thank you very much for joining us. All right, as Essa leaves, gentleman and lady in the studio, First of all, let me, where he left, we pick up from where he left. He was
Absolutely.
analyzing the security situation in the Gambia. And you people in your various political parties have a number of times yourself addressed this by issuing press releases, etc. So before we come to the voter registration, which is our main topic, what do you make of his position that security matters is such that it needs a whole lot of education before we could, task or expect to implement security reform? I have the feeling that people like him
would
should
go
have
in. I mean, the gentleman, an honorable gentleman, Essa Bokarsi, has been very expansive on the subject.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish he was sitting here. Of course, I would rather say, I think he really, in addressing the issue, was like more putting on his diplomatic clothes rather than.
Yes, he was always a diplomat. I have always wanted him to ask specific.
Because really, I mean, he's been very expansive, he's been very theoretical, and he's been very detailed. But the bottom line is, among the many coalition promises that were supposed to carry the country forward, inclusive and significantly was security reform in the country.
Yeah.
And as much as whichever way you may theorize that, the coalition had a responsibility to deliver this to the country. And what has been happening is we haven't seen traction on the issue. This is the fact of the matter. We haven't seen traction on the issue. And there probably are many reasons for this. He dilated on like the need for training, screening, and all of these things. But then, ultimately the buck stops somewhere. Somebody has to employ the chief of security reform. Did he screen them? Did they screen them? Or did they employ them because of personal connection? These are all issues that were, like, he did theorize on them, but he didn't specify on them. And
the presence of foreign books, as they would say.
So we will come to that as well. Anyway, and then the worry more for the lack of traction is, as I've mentioned it here before, what I feel is a possible conflict of interest. The ones that are supposed to be leading the security reform have themselves been allegedly sometimes mentioned in security, I wouldn't say breaches, but security problems that we want to reform. So that potential conflict of interest needs to be addressed. And not just in the security sector, because potential conflict of interest is an issue that people just like treat it casually in here. I mean, this goes all the way in government, in business. You are awarding a contract at the Ministry of Finance, and you look at the list and you see your brother's company's name, and you don't sort of recuse yourself from the bidding, and you sort of forcefully influence it. It goes as far as all of those things. So in that case, these are issues, the ethical issues that an ethical government that wants to bring in reform should be aware of and implement it.
Good. Neneh?
I mean, I can agree more with my colleague here, and of course, like he said, Essa is a diplomat. I mean, a soldier, a diplomat, but today he chose to wear the diplomatic code and was very, very civil, which is okay, if you choose to be. But at the end of the day, we all live here. Even if you don't live in the Gambia, you see what is happening. Security issues are very, very important. But then again, it takes a serious person to treat an issue seriously. And unless we take the security matters of this country very serious and not politicizes and not do this issue of Yamane, whoever is close to me, we will continue to see all these issues prevail, and it will be for a very, very, very long time. And I mean, Gambia has always been a peaceful country. From our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, they will tell you, you leave one house and walk in the dark, go to the other place, you walk in the village, and not even have any concerns of anybody attacking you or taking your property or hurting you. But what we see nowadays is that they come to take your property. If they don't find anything else, they hurt you or they kill you. You know, so at the end of where did it all go wrong? Where did it all go wrong? We need to sit and ask ourselves. There should be a holistic approach to this. Not only, okay, our army, our police, of course there are issues, and of course, you know, with this new administration, without the reform, I think we're going nowhere. We're just going to be going round in circles. There is an elephant in the room, and it needs to be highlighted, it needs to be spotted out and then dealt with.
Right. You can go on with your question, but I was going to address the foreign...
Because I'm going to change the topic to your various parties, like we did last week, your various parties' observations.
Well, he just wanted to mention that Essa did address the issue of foreign troops in the country, and he gave examples of Gambians benefiting. It's a completely different issue. And at the level of ECOWAS, we have no problems with foreign troops if the need is there. The question we ask ourselves, how penetrative are they in our system? I mean, it's not a question of just guarding the borders. How penetrated are they in our administrative system? This is what we want to be assured of and know. And if we know, how can we limit that? Because these are also national security issues for us. I mean, how far do you bring in foreign soldiers into...
Penetrate
your security system? I mean, they are in Guinea-Bissau, they are in, CAR, but these are at a level of maintaining external and internal peace. Okay? We don't want, as much as, we don't want this security advisor, principally security advisor, to the head of state and different departments to be non-Gambians. No, that's not the level we want it. And that will come about because of a lack of security reform.
Right, and that's the point we are trying to drive home.
All right, and if I may add, when we talk about national security, so if foreign troops or security personnel should come to our country, I mean, it has to be for the interest of nation, national interest, not the interest of Lamin, Neneh, or Mr. Barrow here. So if that is not the case, then it defeats the purpose.
Well, when they came first, their mandate, according to what was said, was they're going to protect the new government, the president, until
we accepted at the time.
5 years on, they are still here.
Yes.
All right. Let's turn to voter registration. Over the last 10 days, or let's say 2 weeks now, there have been issues raised in the media, conventional media, social media, and in all different political platforms. And mainly the issue have been anxiety that there are illegal registrations happening, mainly due to attestations by Al Kalolu and Sefolu. In fact, the civic society organization recently called for attestations to be scrapped. But of course, all intents and purposes, that attestation practice cannot be stopped. It's just over only, 7,000 people, I think, in the Gambia having acquired a new ID card, which means the majority of the people in the Gambia don't have these ID cards. And if you talk about passports, fewer Gambian citizens have got passports. So we have to live with attestations. But many feared it really is subject to abuse and is posing problems in many quarters of the country. How have been the observation of CA, for example?
Well, thank you very much for that question, Lamin. I mean, as stakeholders in this whole crusade, we take it very seriously, and we have observers in polling station representing CA. But I mean, you mentioned, before I even answer that, you mentioned about people not having identity card. Thus, that is what has bring all this uproar of attestation. I just want to tell people, I think having a national document is a civic duty. People don't have to beg you to get it. You don't have to be cajoled or begged or bribed to get that, help to get that. I think it is everybody's responsibility as a citizen of a country. When foreigners come, we force them, we arrest them to get their resident permit. But we are citizens and we live here to a certain age, we don't have any national document. It is really concerning. And we wait until the time that it's needed to be used, we all rumble up to look for it. And now when you cannot get it, we fall back to this attestation. And that's the problem. So, I mean, we need to learn I'm sure this attestation, this is not the first time we're talking about attestation. Time memorial, people claim, I don't have a national document, so I need an attestation to go and get registered or to go and get a birth certificate or passport or whatever. We really need to take it serious and obtain it and get it as citizens. It's our civic duty to do that. It's part of the responsibilities as a citizen of a country, I believe. And of course, I mean, we've all been saying, even without our agents reporting to us, now we have social media everywhere. Everything that is happening, it just takes within the snap of a finger for anybody to know, regardless of where you are, your geographical location. We've seen the issue of the attestation, who should sign it, who should not sign it. The people that are obtaining it, are they really the rightful people to obtain those attestations? All in the name of, I support a particular political party and I want to get the card to be able to vote to empower them, to bring them into power. That is fraudulent. You see minors being given attestation. Of course, they don't have the national document like the identity card. And if those minors that we see or being reported to us by our agents or that we see reported by other agents from other political party, if they had gone to any immigration office to obtain an identity card, I'm not saying that all of them would be rejected, but if they're 10, I can bet you right now that 8 of them would be rejected. They will not be issued with a national ID card. So now they find an easy ride on, an easy way to get it. But again, we just need to be honest with ourselves. For me, I believe in life. You know, anything I do, anything that is worth doing better, is worth doing right. If I lose in principle. I cannot brag knowing that I've gained something or I won, but at the back of my mind, I know that the way I won is fraudulent, it's not right, it's dirty, it's messy. I can't sleep.
Yeah, but the question is, do we have to wait until any of the players rig the elections? Because, you know, the argument between, last week we were here, the argument mainly between the opposition parties and the NPP representative who was here, and the NPP representative said the opposition agents, party agents, have no business interfering with claimants at polling stations. All they need to do is to take down their details and challenge it in the revising court. And the opposition agents found it difficult to see an outright stranger, completely known to them, and you know, without doing anything, and you have to go to the courts to gamble it. Last week, the police issued a statement which the opposition criticized to be encouraging the government in its attempt to stifle the intervention of the opposition. They accused the police of really siding with the government in terms of losing the scrutiny that they are doing. What has been the position of CA on that? I mean, it's difficult. We acknowledge, we recognize all those things. But then again, you know, IEC is the referee here. Okay? It's like a football match. And everybody, before you get in the field to even join in the match, you ought to know the rules of the game. And the referee will be the one, or the governing body of the football association, whatever, would have set out rules that everybody should be or must be familiar with. Okay? So now, I mean, like, I understand it, polling agents could have, or IEC could have looked at you and think, okay, you don't look Gambian. They go further to scrutinize or question you. But that was taken away. That's it. Yeah, that was taken away. So now their powers are limited. Yeah. That, you know, they cannot. Once you provide the documents that that is required, they should issue you with the voter's card. Now it means, you know, their hands are tied in a way. Yeah. And then now you leave it to the agents also. And the IEC is saying, because a training was conducted, that no matter what is happening in the polling center, you should not interfere or say anything. What you should do is note it down, forward it to your party. So now it's the responsibility is on your party to raise queries, petition the IEC, or not even petition the IEC, wait for the registration to end, then you go and challenge it to the revising court. I mean, again, I don't think that's favorable, the timing here. Because by the time the registrations end, I think 6 weeks that we have. I think you have 2 weeks to do the petition, and the judges have 60 days. The magistrates have 60 days to make a decision on them. Exactly. But then, of course, the fear is if there is a whole lot, let's say hundreds of thousands. And of course, that's what we're going to have right now. We see it happening now, every blessed day, every center. How much time do the magistrates have to tackle with all this? And that's the challenge here.
Just like we said.
So now you, GFA said, voter or messy voter registration, as you put it, would cause problems.
Sure, just as you said. Yeah. I mean, this sort of what is it again? The attestation issue has been with us, and unfortunately, it's there. We expected people to have decency, because I would imagine every Gambian would want a free and fair election. You see, the colleague Neneh was mentioning about winning and legitimacy. Somebody can win an election and lack legitimacy, and that's a dangerous precedent to take. Because what has happened, dissatisfaction continues. And then usually problems generate from that. And I think it's in the interest of the opposition parties, the stakeholders, and even the government to avoid a situation where a single party or any party theoretically can win but lack the legitimacy because of fraud. It's not good. It's not in the interest of the Gambia. Now, for some reason or another, the entire registration to the election process was all cramped into a 6-month period. This is really totally unacceptable.
6 weeks for that matter.
Well, from the ending to the election, which cannot be avoided. Which cannot be avoided.
So, in your view, the election process is rushed within.
I would say deliberately, because look, 2016 was when the new government came in.
So all
all
those years were
wasted. Like wasted. From election bill going to parliament in the most sort of scandalous way to or non-existent way. It's like some ghost took a paper to parliament and it's like it just came out, it was just a mistake. To like the registration was supposed to have been done in January, and for some reason or another, nobody really had quite a good explanation for it, was delayed. So it's like you're seeing a pattern of negligence that you really cannot confound or accept, except to think that it's been deliberately manipulated to cram this thing in a way that there would be no recourse to challenge, to address, to fight or to battle. So that's where we end in. People, because they feel this cannot happen to them, they also in frustration send their agents and say, if you see them, stop them. It's not right, to be honest. It's not right. But I think it's incumbent on all the stakeholders to really also think about this. The attestation is just to say, I would imagine, I haven't seen one of them, but to say Lamin was born in Bokarsi, I don't think it says he is of the right age to have a ballot or not. So somebody has to make that decision. If you bring my little son who would be 8 years old or whatever, and then you give them an attestation, somebody has to say, no, you really are not of age to...
That is where the problem is. Because even the attestation, there is a rule, even the attestation, and that is before an alcalo or shefo can attest somebody, the cardinal principle is that person must attain the age of 18.
Exactly.
So that is where the problem is. Alcalolu or shefolu have been accused of abusing that by attestating people they know to be underage, and these are the ones that political party agents want to challenge. But let's talk about attestation, because attestation actually in the general sense of it is alleged to everyone's advantage, every stakeholder's advantage.
I would imagine
that since we established that 90% of the people who are eligible don't have ID cards, so it is really acceptable that all the parties will have to rely on attestations.
As we stand now, yes. But really going forward, I think the system in Gambia has to change about this. It's because the authorities really never done anything about documentation.
That's the problem.
Documentation. We have, every village has a mosque, an alcalo, and a stamp. Any child who was born there could have been just stamped and say, Bokar, somebody was born in this village, and the mother would take that document. And a copy.
But
we've really done nothing.
Everybody, I would
nothing.
think of the last 40 years, almost have a clinic card. It was, I want
so
to
we
say
have
the
not
clinic
really
cards have been
mobilized,
introduced, and they can lead to birth certificates.
Yeah, but still we have not mobilized a national consciousness about documentation. And we have to change all of this, because these are important not just for elections, for health, demographics, economics, statistics. All of these things are important. But after the election, everybody forgets and does something else.
I just want to say, I think we're just not ready for prime time. 21st century, we're still talking about people not having birth certificate, an ID card. I mean, somebody may not have a birth certificate or ID card, but tell them you have an opportunity to travel abroad.
That's the time
somewhere they will look for it and get a passport within a week. People will bring that to you. Yeah. So it tells you the seriousness again. The awareness as well, I guess it's lacking for them to understand how important it is as citizens to acquire and obtain these things with or without you traveling or, you know.
There is now a legislation that is coming to Parliament. I think it's been passed already. That makes it compulsory for parents to register birth.
Absolutely. It
ought to I want to think that if...
Register it where?
Well, at your various clinics or nearest health.
You could register.
Those clinics, I think we need to start it from there. They need to have the systems in place that if I register, I wouldn't have to wait another 5 years. I come, you check,
issue them birth certificates at that place, at that various...
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Even in the neighboring countries in here, local mosques are registering marriages, documenting them. 10 years later, if you go there, you will find evidence in their register. In their register. As far, I mean, even in the UK, in pre-medieval times, you go to the church registers.
Yes, definitely.
You will find records
with Christianity, that has been there since time memorial. So you go to churches, 100 years, centuries, you go there, the first death, they will tell you who it was, where the person was buried. The first baptism that happened, the register is there, the records are there. So you go, it's across the board. But it should be a national thing. I think that is where
not only a national thing, but the national leaders must enable and sensitize and facilitate this. Just don't keep quiet and do nothing about it. So anyway, as I said, this is going forward. Currently, our current dilemma is how do we prevent confrontation, confusion, arguments. We can only advise our agents, as they are, to be civil, to be courteous, but to be firm. That evident fraud cannot be allowed to go.
Well, that's where the problem is.
Evident fraud cannot be allowed also to just transpire, but let them be civil, let them do the right thing as stipulated by the referees in there, for whom we also have issues with, and I will come to that later. But we cannot have the confusion of people fighting in registration centers when the election has not even started. Can you imagine the role of effect of that when elections actually come? If they are fighting over registration, we may be pulling guns at election time itself, God forbid.
Well, the issue is how to have a clean register, because that's important to elections.
Okay.
Now, the challenge the people have, all political parties now, is that as a polling agent, when you come across, a complete foreigner, I mean complete, somebody who is known to you, to be a known Gambian, yet you are asked not to do anything, just to put down his name and gamble, because so to speak, gamble in the courts, seeking to have his card nullified. That is where the problem is. How to go about that?
It is really concerning.
It is concerning.
It is a concern
it is
for
problematic.
For me, I always tell people,
because
registration, I don't think it's a partisan thing. This voter registration is a national issue, and we should treat it as a national matter.
Unfortunately, it's not the case.
No, but
because at this point in time, it's not elections. People register, but you don't even know who they're voting for.
Let's look at it from this point of view. Let's look at this. As you have said.
Absolutely.
As you have said. Somebody known to be a non-national and attempting to register as a national, I would imagine that's an offense.
That's an offense.
So every citizen has a right to call the attention of an authority there and then and say, so this guy is committing an offense.
But the rule is said that you have no right
No, that's a different matter. I'm looking at it from the point of view of a citizen's right to call out somebody who is committing an offense.
An offense. But then that's the problem.
That's a right.
That's where the problem is.
No, but that's a right. I mean, I'm exercising that right.
These people who have been...
and I say do it courteously, do it civilly, and do it correctly.
There are two sides of the argument. There are people who are saying that these people who are interfering, well, they call them interference, or questioning the nationality of claimants, often found it wrong. They challenge genuine Gambians they cannot recognize them, and they confront them, they found that these are genuine Gambians.
Yeah.
On the other hand,
Yeah,
they too are saying that we know people who are definitely strangers in our midst. We can allow them to go. So where is the compromise?
Yeah, but that's a different matter for, as you were saying, when it's known. We refer to the TRRC case of that Soma woman who knew people living in her compound and knew when they came over from across God knows where,
somewhere.
And then they were given a registration voters card. She called the attention of the registering authorities. At the time of the dictatorship, she became a victim.
So and often it is mostly ruling party, people, ruling party who encourage it.
Well, at the time, obviously.
That has been the norm, because under the PPP it was, under the Gambia it was rampant.
It was.
And there are growing suspicion that NPP are the people encouraging it. Although I must say their representative was here, CDJ, who said that is not the case. They are not involved in any fraudulent activities.
Do we expect them to say yes,
that
it is
they are
us?
not involved in any fraudulent activities, that nobody has anything to do. Let's go to the revising court. Let's talk about the revising courts now. How do you expect, well, let's say a couple of weeks ago, the minister, or rather the Chief Justice, actually called a forum where he said that first-class magistrates would be appointed to oversee these revising courts, and he advised them to be impartial when dealing with electoral matters. He said that. But then, as we are now thinking and fear, if the volume of complaints have run into thousands or tens of thousands, how within 2 weeks do we think that these first-class magistrates sitting in Mansakonko or in Kanifing or in Basel would be able to deal with this and make a decision in 60 days?
There is a problem already before even that
But
process
Lamin,
starts.
that's why I said we basically found ourselves in a messy electoral cycle. And we have to use our good judgment, our common sense, our civic duty, our nationalism to ensure, and that is inclusive of all the parties, to ensure that this end up smoothly and leading to a free and fair election. Otherwise, the Gambia is really not out of the woods.
Let me take you to two specific topics that were discussed last week and have your thoughts. The NPP were accused to, be behind the registration of minors in Nyamina, which they denied flatly, of course. And then, of course, the NPP are not happy that Mayor Rohilo of Banjul, who was elected on a UDP ticket, and obviously very interested in re-election, or perhaps would like to have his or her party leader elected, is doing is attestating claimants in Banjul. Now, her argument was that that was the practice for many, many years, and the IEC had, agreed, sort of, for her to do attestations in default, according to the IEC spokesperson, because there's no Alcalo or Sefo in Banjul. Now, what do you make of that? Let me come to you first, Neneh. Is CA not concerned that, the mayor being somebody who is interested in elections, is it not a conflict of interest here?
Well, we're concerned in anything that's going to jeopardize the integrity of this process. Definitely, we are stakeholders and we take it very seriously, as I mentioned earlier on. But let me come to the first one of this minors being registered in Nyamina. And it's not only in Nyamina. And we've had the IEC communications person came and said they can confirm that minors were being registered in different polling centers.
He admitted.
But exactly, that was admitted. But after that, I haven't heard them say anything further, because I would have expected them to say...
He said that what the law says about it is for party agents and people, citizens who really really privy to their information to take it to the revising court. That's
Okay, I'm sure that will be done because that's a simple. That will be a simple clear cut because those ones will be identified.
Yes.
Because you see, when you go to the polling station, people write, they taking
Of
notes,
course,
they take details of the attestations and all
the
that.
names will be displayed after the registration.
So those can be highlighted, taken to the revising court, and it will just be taken off the roll. That's a simple clear cut. But then again, now coming back to the issue of the attestation in Banjul, we believe election processes, electoral system processes, it's all about consensus building, communicating, consulting, sensitizing, educating. From the onset, I always say, because it has happened doesn't mean it need to continue to happen. We need to look at the value adding here. It is to the best interest of the people, of citizens. Yes, we continue. But if it's creating issues, then it needs to be revisited and see how we're going to make it better. That's what needed to be done in regards to this attestation. And in hindsight, I think when this attestation thing was specifically giving the role to alcalos and CFOs, we were thinking about the rural areas where there was no Banjul hospital or the registrar of birth or whatever. And of course, you cannot be in Koina and then have to travel all the way to Banjul. Now you empower those people, try to decentralize that process and say attestation or whatever. But then times have passed that we never sat back to revisit those laws and make it to suit our current status quo or dynamics. That has not been done. Again, I blame the IEC for that because they just sit in their comfort zone and with the IEC. So at some time, I believe that maybe they have just forgotten of this legacy of 22 years of authoritarian rule, and much has not changed within the IEC.
But the thing is, the IEC, to be fair with them, had come out with their program, but then they can only operate within the law. And what the law says, the law has basically disempowered
but when
them.
I mentioned
the old law, when Jammeh amended the election law, he made sure that he had a way of rigging the elections, that is by encouraging illegal registration. And you cannot do that without disempowering the electoral officer who then had the right to interview claimants. Because in the past, the electoral officer can interview claimants, whether you come with a diplomatic passport or somewhere, he can say, look, in my judgment, you
my
are
discretion,
entitled.
yeah, exactly.
Now, Jammeh's amendment removed that from the electoral office.
But remember, when I talk about consulting,
now the new government, which came into power 5 years ago, shamelessly or shamefully, did not change this.
I agree.
That is where the problem is.
I agree. But remember when I say consensus building, the IEC knew that there is a mayor in Banjul. Okay. Now, when you decided that we're going to ask the mayor to continue that same process or that same way of doing things, you should have carried the stakeholders along, because then we wouldn't have had this problem. We all agree and recognize that this is the situation, and we will agree and all get into it with one voice. The mayor, nobody has not anything to tell the mayor, to say the mayor, because the mayor did not get up herself to do it.
This matter was, and many people, this matter was even raised in Parliament.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, even the IEC were present, and the matter of Banjul not having Al Kalolu or Sefo was mentioned, and it was then the state highlighted that it should be the mayor who should attest it as it used to be.
So why
nobody objected.
Exactly.
I don't know what the uproar is, but we have to follow the law as it is.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not really familiar with the legalities of these mayoral issues.
Okay.
But if the law says Alcalo or Sefo, and then Banjul apparently does not have any Alcalo, could there be some residual authority that she could use? I am not really sure, to be honest. I leave the matter to the law. I'm really mute on this specific issue.
I can help you on that. The law is silent on that, and the IEC is saying that where the law is silent, they can use their own discretion.
By default.
And that is exactly, and that's what they have done here.
Well, I hope it just remains in Banjul only.
Well, that's only Banjul is coming. I mean,
I hope it just remains in Banjul only.
Everywhere.
Okay. I hope it just remains in Banjul only, where the total voter population is like what?
Well, 30,000 or so.
But it's still important.
It can make a difference.
Yeah,
it can make a big difference.
What she said is important. Is that what the law said exactly. That's where the confusion is. The law didn't mention Banjul among the Alcalo, but did not specifically say that where there is no Alcalo.
So I'm saying there may be some residual authority that she may be using, which the IEC has concurred with, whether that is in keeping with the law.
Well, the IEC
is
said
for
at
lawyers.
the moment, by default,
And then in any of these matters also, if the authorities are saying you can go to the revision court or whatever, do so, and then they can go to the revision court later.
The people who are opposed to her politically, or some
I guess would they can
because she's interested, she might bring in people who are not genuine or true Banjul citizens. That's as I say, a conflict of interest is a strong possibility, and we must all guard against that.
But can I respond?
Yes.
You know, my take on that is honestly, I want her to do this freely and fairly without wearing her political
Well, that's
hat.
what, to quote her, to be fair with her, she said that when she is attestating people, she doesn't look at them because they are UDP or they are DOI or they are, she said she does it, in good faith.
And to her defense, she cannot know everybody that comes to her which political party you belong.
Well,
because you don't wear that on your face. But what I want to say is, she is just one person in Banjul, okay? And of course, on a ticket of UDP, all right? So that's where a lot of people have an issue with. But we all know that Alcalos and Sefos are all...
Most of them are already perceived to be...
It's not being perceived. They're all appointed by one person and then they serve the person's interest. Exactly.
The Sefos are appointed.
The question now is whether the Alcalolu or Sefolu will assert their independence when dealing with attestations.
Well,
because the problem is has already been raised that some of the people who are really going to have a rough and tough day in court are going to be the Alcalolu and the Sefolu, because each attestation they confirm, they will have to come and testify in court. So they will have a busy day in court if the challenges or the complaints are many.
I mean, if you we query Malik Low's impartiality, the Sefos who are appointed by the
directly by the minister
and with the threat of the sword hanging over their head of dismissal.
Exactly.
You could query their independence as well.
I believe Malik Low is elected. Nobody
has
the power to come and say, get out of there, you didn't do what I want.
In fact, the Sefolos are even more vulnerable.
Thank you.
That's going to be argued.
But anyway...
the question, more vulnerable in the sense that they, in fear of losing their job, they can favor the ruling party.
Absolutely.
Thinking that with that they can keep their job. But then in the sense of, in the case of the mayor, you said, well, she probably have nothing to fear because she knows that it's been elected. But she could also make a point of duty that those she attested are really people who are going to vote for her.
Right.
Somebody can raise that suspicion fairly.
Absolutely. Right. And it's been raised.
Even though, to be fair with her, she said she doesn't do that. She just do everything in good faith.
Anyway, Lamin, I'm sure we must be pressed for time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before you will tell us time is up.
Absolutely.
There are some
very soon
bedrock issues about the whole election process
let's have them in the next couple of minutes.
That I will probably, we will obviously post this to the IEC, and before we do so formally, I probably would announce it in here. And this relates to the voter registration process. The Gambia Press Union, in their statement release, thanked to the IEC, but there is one key point that they mentioned, which I latched onto, and it's been bothering me. That IEC has been upfront in many ways, but the critical issue of procurement of voter issues, nobody ever asks about this. First of all, I was trying to Google, which company is actually providing the voter registration material?
It should be the company that...
What is their...
ESI.
What is their profile? Do we know?
Yes. I think this matter has been treated.
We've gone through that issue back and forth since the procurement, petition and all that.
No, it's not done. What we want to know, how many voter registration printers are they providing with the IEC? Because you see, I look at things from an analytical point of view. Root cause analysis, meaning how many printing materials have they purchased, their serial numbers. You see, if you want to prevent fraud without all of this, you could allocate a serial number to a particular voter registration, and you could identify.
That's what's happening. Every voter, every card has a serial number.
But the machine.
Well, I'm not too sure. I've not got mine. But then another thing is, once there are going to be a single register, and all the voters list will be displayed.
Right.
It will be very easy. For you to detect those cards or those names who are not in the registration system.
In the system.
That would be very easy to know.
In the system.
Can you begin to indicate it?
We don't know the system they are using, the database, how secure it is. Is it accountable to anybody or anything?
I'm saying that, like, after the registration
These are all issues.
What are you talking about? After the registration closed, until every party or stakeholder are familiarized with the register.
Right.
After the revising code, everything. So it's assuming that if somebody turns up at a polling station wanting to vote, he or she must be already registered. If she comes
must
with another
be already registered.
Yeah, because the register is already
within their system.
Exactly.
So that's why, for assurance
sake, in the system, you will not naturally be in the.
For assurance sake, and then for transparency, it's important. Because when you go to the IEC's website, you don't find any information about this procurement.
I think it was true because IEC's argument against giving this to that company. The local company was that they believe that local companies can compromise data.
And the other ones cannot.
They believe because they have tested and trusted this company, they believe that they will be more unlikely.
But why would you imagine that the local companies can and a foreign company?
Well, he said
a foreign company cannot.
No, he said a foreign company definitely has no stake. Assuming that they have no stake, they don't know. That's their argument. Whereas they said the local company may have, even his staff, who are definitely sympathetic to one party or the other. So they said the risk of problems, is more it's highly likely with the foreign company.
Anyway, if problems can accrue from a local company in one way or another, the long arm of the executive is not impossible.
But at least the IEC said they have tested and trusted this company. So
we need to be upfront about all
like
of
you
this.
Said,
anyway, these are questions that we will be posing to them in a formal way.
They promised us updates. I've been trying their number every time. But of course, we hope we will get them in the studio when we come back. So, on that note, of course, thank you very much, Lamin Barrow of the Gambia for All and Neneh Freda Gomez of Citizen Alliance. And before, the Citizen Alliance,
Yes,
that's true.
The futuristic party. Add that, yes, the futuristic party.
And then, of course,
the all-inclusive party.
Oh, yes.
The all-inclusive.
This one is for all.
All-inclusive.
Where will we? Thank you very much. We'll come back next week. Until then, goodbye for now.
Thank you.
In communication, connectivity is everything. We ensure that the links never sleep. Quantities and qualities, all in our data service, providing efficient, reliable voice and data service. We believe if you're not up to speed, then you're going backwards. Communications have to flow as fast as the speed of light. Whatever business you're in, having someone who understands your needs is critical. That is why we just don't offer you technology, we offer you solutions. Enjoy Gamcel's internet broadband anytime, anywhere. Your national operator, Gamcel, Yai Barom.
For all your pastry, bakery, and quality food, CK Restaurant is the only place to be. We do catering for birthdays, weddings, and all related services. We have all kinds of local foods, American, European, and even beyond. Come and have a taste of our local juice, ebe, and other services. At CK Restaurant, customer satisfaction is our priority.
We live in a day and age where technology is creating a world without borders, filled with unlimited potential to improve the lives of the people around us. Innovarex Global Health ushers in a new way of leveling the playing field with increased access to quality healthcare services delivered at your doorstep. Our qualified professionals are equipped with state-of-the-art point-of-care testing technology to conduct tests such as kidney function, liver function, electrolyte tests, body composition, hemoglobin, A1C, and many more services with the highest efficiency in delivering results. The addition to our flagship Wellness on Wheels, more fondly known as WOW Delivery Service, brings the entire clinical experience full circle. IGH has remained committed to creating the future of healthcare delivery. Gone are the days of sending loved ones outside the country for basic medical services. Innovarex Global Health offers a new peace of mind and takes pride in delivering the quality of care we all deserve.